For the real thing. All right, can we hear me online? Can we hear me in the room? I can hear me in the room. All right, thanks everybody for coming. My name is Lynn. I'm with a company called AgilData. We're here today to launch a MySQL Scalability Analysis tool that is free, that we've actually been using for several years to help our customers scale out their MySQL-based data architectures. So a little bit about me. I've been with our company for a little over a year. I was the founding CTO of a company out of Denver called Full Contact. We help people solve contact management problems, and that required a lot of big data infrastructure. So we scaled out a MySQL cluster, quite large. I became a customer of AgilData at that point in time, using AgilData's DB Shards product. And then we also added a whole ton of other stuff. We added a Storm cluster, we added HBase, we added Cassandra. We did a whole bunch of that stuff that really gave me a whole ton of experience in the big data realm. And I came to AgilData to help bring that 7 years of experience to bear on not just MySQL, but on also big data problems and complex business intelligence integration problems. So along the way, we would actually go into a customer, we'd say, oh, you're running MySQL, that's cool, right? And you're probably blowing out of that database if you're experiencing the success that usually comes when a business is growing well. What we have to do is often we'll help them scale out that MySQL architecture using a couple of different ways that you deal with that. You either make the server bigger, or you put better hardware in there, which is kind of vertically scaling that server. You then could, if you have a very read-heavy application load, you can add read slaves and work on that replication in order to do that. If it's a very write-heavy load, as is often the case in a lot of time series, sensor monitoring type applications, social networking applications, gaming applications, what you find is you're crushing the one server with writes. And often the only answer in many cases is to think about sharding or partitioning your data across multiple servers. What that means is you now have a very complex data management problem. And if you try to roll your own sharding architecture, it really hurts, right? Everybody that tries to do it either fails at least a couple times before they succeed or gives up and brings in someone like us to help them get a sharded architecture put in place. And that allows us to run some of the larger consumer websites on the internet right now. I can't mention them by name, but we've got clusters of up to 64 MySQL servers hosting millions of hits per hour on hundreds of millions of actual data records that are constantly changing. How do we help a company go from the one server to the many servers? That's complicated if you already have an application that's been maturing and may potentially be years old. You have to add in all this logic to figure out which server is this particular data on in a sharded architecture. And we built a lot of really cool technology to do that. And historically, that technology was only available to our customers once they'd already become customers. And we realized that's not our core business, this whole planning for scale thing. That's something that we think the ecosystem should have for free. And so we came up with this thing called Gibbs. Gibbs used to be a pirate. Gibbs is a monkey. He used to advise pirate captains on how to store their data bounty. We're having fun with this. How to store their data bounty across lots of servers. Islands. You put the data bounty on lots of islands, and by doing so, you actually gain redundancy in case somebody comes and steals that data bounty, right? Or you're able to avoid overloading any given island port with your traffic. All right, so all the joking about pirates aside, Gibbs is a tool that helps you plan for scale and sharding. So it actually analyzes your database traffic and will give you insights into how you can think about adding sharding, if you even should, if you'd add read replicas, or if maybe just buying a bigger server lets you plan for the next 12 to 18 months of your business. Along the way, it gives you a lot of free functionality that you'd otherwise have to get by spending a lot of time hacking at your MySQL server by analyzing the slow query log, for instance, or really getting into the guts, doing restarts, things like that in order to get it sorted out. So it helps you diagnose that slow performing queries, for instance. What that allows you to do is optimize your actual tables for that workload, which you might do once, And then you might change your application. You've changed the workload. And so after you've changed the workload, you probably want to check again, how is my database performing against this new workload? This will help you do that on a continuous or an occasional basis, right? And it helps you analyze the impact of any other application changes that you might have. And what we wanted to do is, this isn't what we make our money on. We make our money by helping people scale out. This is more just helping people. This tool is free. We're launching it because we want you to just get the intelligence about what should you do with your database. It's an online service. It's at agildata.com, agildata.com/Gibbs. It's Gibbs. You see it on our slides here in the lower right-hand corner. And you get reports kind of like this. This is an early version of the report. Right? You get easy insights that you can consume fairly well, like, do I have any slow writes, and why are they slow? Does it mean that the index that I'm writing into might be taking too long to update? Right? Am I doing any unnecessary table scans? These are things that you can get from database profiling tools, but it's a lot easier if this will just render a nice web form for you. Right? So you get a nice simple web-hosted report for free again. Right? You can get things like, what's my database query throughput, a lot of time series analysis of the queries that are happening. Right? You can get really nice distribution graphs like pie charts that'll show you, okay, which tables are involved in joins, how can I drill into that, what are my most heavily used tables on the write side, on the read side, how does that impact me if I want to think about sharding? And the way we get this data is not impactful to your production or to your QA architecture. Right? We have a tool called Spyglass that we've open sourced. You can hunt it down on GitHub right now. It's a packet sniffer. It's kind of like Wireshark, if you know what Wireshark is. It sniffs that MySQL traffic either off the application server or off of the MySQL database server itself, strips out all the sensitive information like the query information, ignores the actual data itself, and just captures the shape of the queries and the metadata about those queries. How fast are they? How many of them are there? What's the size of the data response? What kind of indexes were used? All that kind of stuff. Packages it up nicely and lets you analyze it. You can use that tool just to generate that query log yourself without touching your database server. You don't even need the ability to restart that server necessarily. And then what you can do with that, if you really want, is you can upload that data to Gibbs, and Gibbs will generate that nice report for you. And we're continually making those reports better as we add additional features. So you'll see that improve over time. And if you want to get it yourself, you can go to github.com/agildata/Gibbs MySQL Spyglass. It's actually written in the Rust programming language, which we got really excited about. We have a lot of functional programming geeks at our company, myself included. And then we also happen to like low-level languages. So Rust is a really exciting language for that purpose, and we wanted to get our feet wet doing that. So we wrote the data collector in Rust, had a lot of fun doing it. It's relatively early, and love your feedback as you start to use this. The CI framework builds it on a whole bunch of different platforms for you automatically, so you don't have to worry about it. And you can actually check that it's like stripping data out. It doesn't pose any security risk or anything to your architecture as you're looking at that. And that's it. We wanted to get this out in the community. We wanted to get your feedback on this. We wanted to see, how is this helping companies? Our customers have found a lot of use out of this over the years, and we wanted to get that just out into the open source community and see what people thought of it. So thank you for taking the time. My name's Dan Lynn. Our company's called AgilData. This tool is called Gibbs. You can get it at agildata.com/Gibbs. And I want to thank you for attending. Any questions?
Yeah, quick question. Does this work specifically just with MySQL, or can it also be used
That's a great question. The question is, does this work only with MySQL, or does it work with MySQL compatible distributions like Percona? And the answer is, because it sniffs the traffic off of the MySQL protocol, it works with anything that speaks that protocol, including Percona and servers like that. So that's a fantastic question. Thanks.
So when you use Spyglass, I get that you're going to capture the query, but are you capturing any of the data that you return from the server?
Good question. So the question is Spyglass captures queries as they're going back and forth between the server, but does it also capture the data? And the answer is no. It does actually see the data packets. So if you look at the source code, you'll see that it sees those data packets. but it just drops them. It ignores them along the way. It only captures and records the metadata about the query and the metadata about the response, like how many rows came back, what was the size of it, things like that. Great questions. Cool. Well, thank you guys for showing up again. Again, my name is Dan, and you guys have a good rest of the conference. Thanks.